Alright, let's travel here. We'll go to the Imperium because we're in the area, and I'm curious. We could also check in with Footfall to see if anything new has shown up. Cone would be much more useful. Very true. If they gave us some amount of maneuvering while we're ramming. That night, the Lord Captain and some of his crew were awakened by beautiful music. The sound seemed to caress their very minds until they realized that the source was their own bodies. While their teeth were chattering out of a staccato, their tendons were being plucked like strings by unseen hands, and invisible breaths flowed through their bones, turning them into mournful flutes. The illusion ended, but for a long time afterward, every movement made their hearts stutter in fear. Was the orchestra about to strike up once more? You would think that if your teeth are chattering, your tendons are being plucked, and breaths are flowing through your bones, you would notice that before you notice the beautiful music. They're like, oh, this music is wonderful, until they realized that their body was freaking out. The Imperium released us from its grip, this time. We'll make this an unsafe trip at 2 more points. We're spending a lot of points, but I am curious to go here, and I'm not going to go on a deadly trip. Congratulations, everyone. We made the trip from the Koronus Expanse to the Imperium reasonably safe. We have solved the warp storm that everyone's been worried about. Profit factor lost. Hello. How? Why? Lord Captain, urgent report. We have received an astropathic message from Regent Aranto Orsilio. The navigators are concerned about the fate of Cassia, who disappeared from York 5. The Regent is requesting an update on her current status, and he has also inquired about the possibility of a personal meeting to negotiate and arrange the return of the Lady Navigator to her house. We can talk about it, but the answer is no. The psycho-emotional coding of the received message betrays acute concern, but it also contains something that the astropaths have failed to put into words. If you'll excuse my forthrightness, I feel it is necessary to tell House Orsilio the truth. Otherwise, a conflict with the Navis Nobilite is possible, which, given the current state of the Koronus Expanse, will only play into the hands of the enemies of the Imperium. How did House Orsilio even learn that I have Cassia? Tell House Orsilio that Cassia is safe and that the rogue trader would be honored to meet in person. I'm so far inclined to go with that option. Order the astropaths to send the following. Cassia Orsilio perished at the hands of the rebel navigators of her own house. No. Tell Regent Aranto that the rogue trader does not know anyone named Cassia. Ignore it, I have no obligation to answer anyone's requests. How did they even learn that I have Cassia? I wish I knew, Lord Captain. It is troubling indeed. Perhaps we have a spy on board, or Regent Aranto is bluffing. In either case, I believe we should respond. Navigators are extremely powerful and useful allies to have. Alright, tell House Orsilio that Cassia is safe and that the rogue trader would be honored to meet in person. I'll see to it, Lord Captain. The astropaths will transmit your consent. Representatives of House Orsilio will be waiting for you on the capital world Dargonis. Receiving members of the Navis Nobilite is always a delicate matter. Please make sure to discuss the details of this meeting with your Chancellor upon arrival. I will. Lord Captain, Raver on the line. The astropaths are going crazy in their little chamber. They're reporting severe warp disturbances along our intended route. It looks like the maw is completely impassable. I've seen this before, yes, and if you ask me, going in there is not a good idea for us or any other void ship. But Cassia already cleared it up, guys. Come on. So you're saying that not only will I break through the maw to the Imperium, but I will cover myself in glory as the conqueror of the raging warp. Forward! I did not inherit this void ship only to destroy it in the roiling Imperium. Let someone less valuable deal with the maw. I mean, this seems incredibly dumb. But I want to go to the Imperium. I doubt I can save right here. No. Alright. I'm not going to risk it if my Master Helmsman is saying... Well, the Master Helmsman and the Astropaths are saying, don't go forward. I'm gonna trust them. I did not inherit this void ship only to destroy it in the roiling Imperium. Let someone less valuable deal with the maw. I'll see to it, Lord Captain. And we just spit back out here. Now, if I save... then we give it a shot, just because I'm curious. So you're saying that not only will I break through the maw to the Imperium, but I will cover myself in glory as the conqueror of the raging warp. Forward! I'll see it to it, Lord Captain. The Emperor protects. Yes, he does. By the grace of the Emperor, I have been charged with chronicling the voyage that my blessed commander, Lord Captain Ignatius, intends to undertake through the turbid tract of the warp known as the maw. The thought of what lies ahead fills our soul with terror, but we all have faith in the light of the Emperor. May his protection be with us now. Charted course for expedition. Message from Astropathic Choir. Continue. Let's check out our charted course. Report from Navigator Sanctum. Lord Captain, we have locked onto the blessed light of the Astronomicon and are ready to make our first warp jump to the Hermitage. Once in the Void Station's orbit, we will carry out maintenance liturgies and, with luck, exchange information with other trade void ships there that are using that region as a rendezvous point. The second warp jump will be made by the witch-cursed world. That's a lovely name. A foul and lifeless planet, at which point we will assess the state of the vessel. A third warp jump is planned to Port Wander, where the Protector willing, we'll reach the vast expanse of the Imperium, and we will abide there in safety. Let's check out our message from the Astropathic Choir. Lord Captain, we once again draw your attention to the fact that the warp region of the maw is more turbulent than usual. The Diviner's vigil portends death for us, and much worse besides. This is not our first decade perceiving the void, and we have seen terrible storms, but none like this. We beseech you, please have mercy on us. If that be not your will, we stand ready to serve until the end. After offering up the requisite prayers, the crew received a Vox address from the blessed Lord Captain, in which our commander gave the order to initiate the jump to the Hermitage or announced that the expedition was abandoned. Let's go! Give the order to jump to the Hermitage. We made it to the Hermitage, an outcome made possible solely by the Emperor's mercy. The ship has been chewed up by the ravenous Imperium, and madness has taken root across our decks and stalks among us, staring us in the eyes. The vessel is in orbit around the station, thronged by thousands of silent satellites, the jettisoned bodies of the dead. Medicase test succeeded. I spent the entire jump in the murky depths of the Astropathic Choir Bay, where the acolytes of the ship's surgeon walked back and forth in silence. After singing the healing liturgy from beginning to end, they marched among the psykers, who had been medicated into unconsciousness. Any psyker who awoke, often with the howl of horror, was quickly pacified with a sharp jab from an electrified baton. But my attention was wholly captured by Adira Talas. Gripping the shoulders of each astropath in turn, and staring into their eyes, she compelled the raving psykers to collapse with a visceral cry, curling up on the deck with all thought of resistance gone from their minds. How many did she save? How many would have perished without her? Every moment now, I hear a voice full of vehement ire. It is the voice of the angel of the Emperor. It is so ferocious, my very blood fears it. Fleeing my body through my ears and eyes and nose, the angel bade me compile a picked chronicle of the horrors recorded by the servo skulls in the ship's bays. May whoever finds it know the torments we suffered before death. Damage taken during Destiny 62. Incident report. Engineer report, Hermitage Station status report. We'll check out the incident report. This is interesting to me. And are we going to have to go back through this again when we want to get back to the Koronus Expanse? I don't know. I don't think this is actually a wise choice, which is why I saved beforehand. I saw a picked recording made on various decks with my own eyes. With horror and avid curiosity, I relished each bloody detail, drinking in the stream of chaotic, incomprehensible scenes. Nameless dread blossomed in my soul. I saw a bloody massacre in the Enginarium. People armed with tools bashing each other's heads in. I saw a deck full of violently convulsing bodies covered in a layer of mold and sprouting grotesque fungi. I witnessed a crowd of crew members walk towards an opening airlock with mindless, exultant smiles on their faces and be caught a moment later on a wave of air and wrenched out into the cold embrace of nothingness. With my own eyes, I saw a gunner steadily hitting a large caliber shell with a wrench, and inside a cogitator, I could just make out the bloody remains of an engine seer, impossibly squeezed in among the tangled wires. So much horror, so little hope. Never actually done this part? Yeah, I'm curious. Because obviously the game doesn't want us to go to the Imperium, but it's there. So it's like, I've got to try it. But probably gonna reload the save afterwards. Engine Seer's report. Report from Engine Seer deck. My lord, it grieves me to report the demise of 27.61% of the blessed machine spirits entrusted to my care. Reactors 2 and 3 require expedited burials, and the deck's crew held a vigil in their memory. The servitors have logged at least 11 breaches in the whole exterior, and at least 3 in the whole interior. With my lord's gracious permission, I will endeavor to save what can still be saved. The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all. Alright, the Hermitage Station status report. Scouting Expedition report. I don't know how they haven't gone crazy yet. Sitting in the middle of this warp storm, there are around 1,000 people there, a few hundred outcasts and anchorites living permanently on the station, and the crew of a trading vessel that barely made it as far as the Hermitage and won't be departing ever again. It seems they spend whole days sitting under their crystal dome praying, eating ration packs, and watching as reality loses its mind. They say the Emperor will protect them against the coming tempest. Of course they do. He is the only thing they can trust in now. For them, there is nowhere else to turn. We offered them passage on our ship. Not one of them said yes. Mad, all of them. When the message came through the Voxnet, I struggled to hear it over the whispering of the angel in my ears. My honorable lord gave the order to make the jump. Warp jump to the witch-cursed world or return to Footfall. Forward! We are at the witch-cursed world, the place where we are doomed to perish. That is what the Emperor's angel told me. His voice almost impossible to bear. It bade me record every drop of sorrow. My chronicle will spread his word through the warp and sow terror in all who come to know our dire voyage. So speaks the angel, and my own thoughts are so muddled that all I can do now is submit and bear witness. Persuasion test succeeded. Cassia, again, we had 116% chance to succeed. As soon as the ship exited the warp, thousands of crew members assembled into teams, launched into repairing the major areas of damage. The will of our fearless Lord Captain drove them, and in that moment, I deeply envied their resolve. Lord Captain's honorable companion, Heinrich von Kallax, personally led the ship's hands to the most seriously damaged decks. First, he admonished the cowardly crew members who refused to do their duty, and then he banished the fear from their hearts with a single shot. Verily, the man's mercy is great indeed. Oh, that one we didn't have a 100% chance. That's kind of shocking. I left the astropathic choir bay and spent this jump in the navigator sanctum. Though the number of casualties was high there, many managed to survive, including me. Furthermore, when the malevolent tentacles of the warp reached into our souls and a bloody inscription in an unholy language began to appear on the bulkhead, the Emperor granted me the blessings of bearing witness to a miracle. Sister Argenta, entirely undaunted, marched up to the bulkhead and erased the words with a fearless swipe of her hand. She turned to us with a smile and said, "It is only blood. Do not fear the Imperium, for its nightmares are nothing before the Emperor's light." In that moment, I had faith that all was not lost yet. Today, I believe I was mistaken. The losses and damage are enormous. They say there was a mutiny. The Master Hellman reports that the odds of surviving another jump forward are 0. The odds of a successful jump backwards are also 0, but 11. The second 0 is slightly less definitive. Internal systems are failing. Cogitators are experiencing periodic fail. Stop it, I'm afraid. Dude, failure. Damage taken, 56. Perfect. We can open history and close history. What does that mean? Situation report of the Witch-Cursed World. Incident report, navigational forecast. Report from the ship's confessor. Let's click that. Okay, that's just what it says, the history. Okay. Let's check out the situation at the Witch-Cursed World. Engine Seer Avlier's report from Augur Station 12. We must not make planetfall. I know what I saw, and no, we must not set down on the planet. It is not because the wind could tear the hull off the landing shuttle in the blink of an eye, or because the temperature on the surface fluctuates between red-hot plasma and absolute zero. No, it's because planets do not have faces, but this one did. A vast face of jagged plateaus, eyes of fiery tornadoes, and a mouth made from a crater half a continent across. And I saw that face smiling at me. It saw me, it saw all of us. We must not make planetfall. Emperor, have mercy on us. Addendum. Engineer Avlier was executed 4 hours after submitting this report for fomenting panic among the crew. Incident report. The Pic Chronicle recorded by the eyes of the servo skulls made my heart stutter. In horror, I watched as a crewman, who seemed perfectly healthy, struggled against the shackles pinning him to an operating table, and a group of doctors, whispering excitedly amongst themselves, drew out their steel surgical instruments and eagerly began cutting into his flesh. I cried out as I watched the engineers burning holy incense and chanting the prayer to weaken the plasma generator's machine spirit. A young acolyte, his heart wavering, accidentally disrupted the liturgy, releasing the motive force into the power circuit before it was time, and my poor eyes were blinded by the white light of the explosion. After that, I was silent, for that was the only way I could continue to watch. Technomats in dirty coveralls reverentially poured chalices of blood onto the base of a macabre tree. The weapon pointed upward, its supports outspread like branches, and hanging from them like ripe fruit were the bodies of the bay's officers. After tossing aside his discharged lasgun, a priest brought his fingers to his bleeding ears and then daubed these crimson words on the bulkhead. Don't listen to him, he is no angel. Who is he talking to? Me? Scarlet roses, their buds bleeding, were growing through the bulkhead, which were covered with patches of rot. Crew members in black uniforms incinerated them with flamethrowers, weeping black tears and roaring with maniacal laughter. A string of people silently entered an airlock above which was written Hangar C-11-2 and were lost to the darkness. As the deputy Carto Artifacts, I know the ship's layout well. There has never been a Hangar C-11-2. The unknown has touched our vessel, has taken root in it, and now we are all in the clutches of the Imperium. Navigational forecast. Report from Navigator Sanctum. Lord Captain, the crew of the Navigator Sanctum have virtually lost the light of the Astronomicon. Our only hope is to retrace our steps, Terror, both in our thoughts and in our pain. Save us, or lead us to our deaths. We will follow you no matter what. Report from the ship's confessor. Master's report. Stop. The rousing speech from Lord Captain, which was broadcast over the Vox system, inspired the crew, who promptly broke into teams to repair the primary systems. The volunteers, all departed, were later lauded in prayer. Over the static and howling of the unholy warp spirits that had infiltrated our Vox systems, we heard the voice of our Lord Captain, who ordered us to make the warp jump to Port Wander. Senior officers from all decks gave a general report to my blessed Lord Captain. According to the assessment of all the ship's services, the chances of a favorable outcome of a jump to Port Wander were 0. On behalf of the entire crew, they declared that serving under our glorious commander had been an honor, and if it was his will, they were ready to forge onward and meet their deaths. Glory to House Von Valencius and its valiant servants. We were all prepared to die that very hour, and then the Lord Captain bade us die or praise the Emperor, for we are going home. I'm hoping going home means going back to the Empire, rather than turn around and run. It's not clear. But yes, praise the Emperor, for we are going home. No, we're not jumping back to the Hermitage. Come on. No. Come on, game. You can't give me 2 unclear options and then punish me for choosing the wrong one. Lord Captain, warp jump to the Hermitage cannot be calculated. We cannot detect its shadow within the sacred radiance of the Astronomicon. The warp storms are obstructing everything. We think our only chance is to make a longer jump to Footfall. Our chances of survival are low, but not non-existent, the Emperor preserve us. Like, I didn't want to just say the Lord Captain says to die. I wanted to push forward and see what happens, which may have been our deaths. Ugh. Our paths have become clear. Footfall was our destination. Warp jump is complete. We are still ourselves and we are alive, although only a tenth of those who set out on this expedition remain. But we've seen everything, and now nothing can dent the crew's spirit. I cannot say the same for my own. The left side was engulfed in a terrible fire, threatening to undermine the main caliber arsenal chambers. Holding tighter to their faith, the crew members responded as one to the harsh voice of our illustrious captain and rushed to save what remained of the vessel. The angel no longer speaks to me, and a strange emptiness has settled within my soul. Carrying this deficiency inside me is unbearable. Here ends my chronicle. My duty has been fulfilled. I will append a report about the sorry state of the ship after I go to the engine seers to request voluntary servitorization. The Emperor protects. Ship status report. The warp is a sly and insidious beast, Lord Captain. We are ready to acknowledge that now. It was pleased that we admitted our defeat. That is why it let us come back. And we believe there can be only one reason for that. An even worse fate awaits us here. Master Steward's report. Crew loss 87% due to the death of the acting mechanic on the engine seer deck. I'm reporting that the damage to the ship is widespread and all-encompassing. We are running diagnostics now. Thanks to the ship's confessor, reading extracts from the Code of Punishment over the Vox system, the emergency repairs were completed much sooner and the ship's critical node saved. Report on crew morale. Report from Deck 1, Senior Officer Fount. We are voidsmen, sir. We know we will die long before we ever get a chance to soil ourselves in our sickbed. We know our trade. We conquered the void, discovered stars, ship freight, and plunder forgotten planets, and we die. We die in ways so horrible that most people can't ever even imagine such a death. Well, we've gone to a place others fear to even think about, and we've come back from there along with our Lord Captain. Next time the warp tries to play its games, we'll tell it. What else do you have to throw at us? Report on the reactorium incident. Master Helmsman's report. I'd be willing to swear that Generator 6's power circuit unit was switched off when we began the warp jump. There were cracks in the casing, and enclosure was damaged. We would never start up that piece of junk. It would have blown in seconds, and I have no idea how it switched itself on. No one from the crew touched it. When the last generator failed, the energy supply should have been cut off, but number 6 continued to run. It dragged us along for 18 minutes, even though it should have exploded after 18 milliseconds. I don't know how that happened. The Emperor protects. So if we look at our ship now, yeah, so we've taken a ton of damage. But is there actually any indicator of penalties for that? Besides just all the damage we took. I don't know. I'm not going to keep it. Let's reload. I'm inclined to go again to the die part and try clicking the die to see what happens. We'll just quickly jump through. Because I was wanting to push on. And so I have to see. So let's just click all the buttons. Hopefully we're getting the same successes and failures. Okay. Lord Captain bade us to die. Huddled next to the Voxcaster, I, First Deputy Carto Artifacts, Sebulon Primix, scream into it, hoping that my voice will, by some miracle, break through the turbulent abyss of the Imperium into the real world. The Voxmaster is dead. Virtually everyone is dead. And I, disregarding the sacred Vox system protocol, scream my dispatch over and over. All Imperial vessels, help! We are dying, dying. We're dying. Stop it, stop it. I'm afraid, 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 afraid. Here ends the chronicle, which was discovered in the ruins of a ship expelled from the warp. Okay, so that's what happens if you push on. Now we know. Yeah, I was assuming they wouldn't actually let us get back to the the Imperium. But it was interesting to try. I guess we need to go back to Dargonus for a couple of things. We have that quest for the Navis Nobilite, as well as now we can turn in Jaya's stamped form. So let's warp here. Then go back up here to Janus. Now I feel a little bad that this saved game I've spent the 2 points making that path safer. But oh well. I don't feel that bad about it. But we are down 2 points that I didn't need to spend. Okay, let's head on into Mundus Valancius. Colony reward. Okay, we finished the restoration, which has raised our efficiency, complacency, and security. Dropped our profit factor, but increased our people by 3. Cool. Next project. Okay, now we can see what our rank 2 options are, which we couldn't see before we chose these. So I don't know if these are specifically tied to, or if these rank 2 are tied to which of these we chose, maybe. Genetic memory. The genetic purges will be stopped. This world needs working hands. Or genetic mercy, not... yeah. So it just increases our people by 4. Not a bad call. Costs nothing. Decree on diligence. Issuing this decree will significantly tighten production quotas, dooming laggards to being processed into corpse starch, which will encourage the most diligent servants. Wow. That'll reduce our people by 3. Raise our efficiency and give us more provisions, but lower our complacency. Doctrine of rationality will cost us 2 people. According to the new doctrine, the disenfranchised will be servitorized or disposed of through hazardous work, which will raise our efficiency by 3. Are these raising just here or across? Looks like they're all just for here. So not across our entire realm. This one raises security everywhere for all colonies. More and more ships arrive in orbit around Dargonus. The agreement with the Navy allows the deployment of a permanent dock for warships and repositories for the Navy's property. That sounds fine. Blocks Filth of Expanse. Costs us 2 promethium, we have 9, and 3 plasteel, we have 18. Yeah, there's an extra symbol if it applies to all. Yep. This will give us Pirate's Bane features, plus 5% to critical hit chance against pirates. Cool. Escort ship. The Road Trader's flagship is escorted by an armed frigate. Just always? We just permanently have a second ship on the field whenever we get into fights? If I'm understanding that correctly, that sounds great. Increased reputation with the Navy sounds good. Security goes up everywhere by 1, sounds great, and 4 weapons. This sounds really good. What is Filth of Expanse? Because it's blocked by that one. More and more ships arrive in orbit around Dargonus. The reduction of duties and the reining in of customs will allow the black market to flourish, able to compete directly with Footfall. It'll cost provisions. We gain the Master Raider feature, plus 20% scrap for winning space battles. Rogue Trader ship is escorted by a pirate frigate. No. More profit factor, less security, and more relationship with the Fellowship of the Void. No, definitely Shield of the Emperor is more the direction we're going than aiding the pirates and building our own xeno trade, black market, whatever. What about you guys? We need Fellowship of the Void. Convicts will be secretly resold to the pirates of the Koronus Expanse. No. Casabelican mission is ready to run a secret auction on Dargonus with illegal lots, provided the rogue trader's dynasty guarantees its protection. Both of those sound awful. I mean, that's not as bad as convicts being sold off as slaves to pirates. We're going to go with Shield of the Emperor as our first project here. Well, then we'll probably do some of these as well. Maybe. Are these blocked by... No, so this requires one of the two to be built. And we're going to go with Shield of the Emperor. This one requires Shield of the Emperor. This one requires Filth of Expanse. Season of Wars. As population of Dargonus grows, the old ways must be improved upon. The most audacious underhive gangs will form the planet's new elite. No. By leaving them to fight for territory, the rogue trader will be able to select the most vicious servants. No. Adeptus Arbites. As the population of Dargonus grows, the old ways must be improved upon. The creation of fortresses of justice will establish the rule of law and attract reliable merchants and partners. I have no problem with that. And guilds, which can be done with either. As the population of Dargonus grows, the old ways must be improved upon, allowing the artisans to unite in guilds in order to protect their rights and control entire hive segments will cause an explosive growth of industry. This in turn will bring about devastating storms and acid rain pouring down from the poisoned atmosphere. I mean, that sounded good at the start. Cost Promethium and Plasteel will give us more grenades, efficiency, and some mechanisms. This one will give us healing when we use Heroic Axe, relationship with the Imperial Navy, and more security. This one's actually not that good, like value-wise. All allies gain plus 5% melee damage and 20% damage to their attacks of opportunity. Yeah, just not going to go with that one. Anyway, Shield of the Emperor. Go for it. So we've got Administratum, our throne room, or the palace. Let's go to the throne room, because it's saying go to the palace, which is what I did last time, and that took us all the way to the very bottom of the palace area, and we had to walk all the way up to the throne room. So let's just go to the throne room, even though that's not where it's telling me to go. And again, we will bring Jai, because she's tied to that quest, as well as Cassia, because her quest. Alright, much better. No, don't close the door, please. Oh, come on. I was not trying to click on the door, I was trying to click through the door. Alright. Oh, I guess we need to go to the Administratum for Jai. Let's deal with that, because that's the ongoing story we've been working on. Your lordship, Clementia looks at you away from her day's slate. I hope your stay on Dargonus will be beneficial to your physical and mental state. I understand that the heir to a protectorate must have his hands full, but one shouldn't forget about rest. I'll take my leave. We'll deal with Cassia's stuff later. Right, so for this we need to go back to the Administratum. Back here, Administratum.